We're out in the community talking to the folks who want to lead the PC Party of Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm here in Clarenville at Bear Mountain Coffee with Lloyd Parrott. So why are we here?
Yeah, so I guess in 2019 when I made the decision to step into politics, this is exactly where I did it. And at that time it was an old abandoned house, and the current owners, Nancy and Carl Robbins, had a dream to turn it into a coffee house, and they were close personal friends of mine. And on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, I let them know that I was going to step into the political ring, and I decided it'd be a great place to come back and circle around. Okay,
so you got into this race, you were the very first candidate more than a year ago.
Yep.
Has it been a bit of a slog? Normally leadership campaigns aren't, more than a year long.
Yeah, so it's been a long process, no doubt. I didn't come into this process with a big popular name. We knew that it was something that we had to grow organically, and that's why the early announcement. We were certain we were in right away. So yeah, I mean, the last year has been trying. I've had some health issues I had to deal with and different things, but lots of great interaction with the province and communities and groups throughout the province, and it's only solidified the reason why I'm doing this.
You mentioned health issues there. I want to ask you a little bit about that. So first of all, a question that I know you get asked a lot is about the fact that you're missing a leg.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
So I don't get into great detail, but I lost my leg due to a military injury in 2007. So it's 16 years now. I wouldn't change a thing. I believe it's shaped me into who I am. I believe it's given me a perspective that I didn't have otherwise, and certainly from a leadership standpoint, it's given me the ability to listen, help, and understand things that I never understood before. But this has really put things in perspective for me, certainly with people with disabilities and people who face challenges every day. And I think that's an important characteristic to have as a leader. I always say that if you're going to lead, you need to listen. And I'm not so sure that my listening skills were so great before that.
How big of a challenge has it been to get out there and, especially compared to some of your competitors like Tony Wakeham? He ran for this before, he's already got that machine built up and that experience.
Yeah, so listen, never before has this province needed change the way it does right now. And if people want change, then I am the only solution that is out there.
Why do you say that?
Party. Well, I'll say, when I decided to get into this, I didn't surround myself by party faithful or old hat political people who've been around. I did that on purpose so I wouldn't owe anyone anything when this was said and done. I've ran a very clean and clear race, and people have gotten to know me, certainly. They know me from my time in the House of Assembly, through my time with charity work and other things I've done. And I believe that right now we don't need someone who's running on a family name or who's been a lifelong bureaucrat, and I'm neither of those.
Well, now that we've gotten to know you a little bit personally, let's delve into some of the policy discussions. And first of all, I noticed when I went to your website, you don't have any policy discussions on there. Why is that?
So all my policy discussions have been put up via social media, me talking. I would say that there's a lot of things going on in the province right now, from healthcare to the people's ability to live, to afford to live. And I guess I circle back all the time to community benefits programs, our ability to generate more revenue, a way to look at a lesser amount of spending for certain, our seniors, the troubles they're having, housing. There's a lot of different things that I've talked about in all the videos.
Okay, so yeah, there's a lot to delve in there. Let's start about healthcare, because I know that's on a lot of people's minds. And you've said, as someone who's had a lot of experience inside the healthcare system, you were in hospital during this campaign. You have the sort of knowledge to be able to. What have you learned from your experience having been involved with the healthcare system that you think needs to change?
Yeah, so I'll say the same thing I always say. Leadership starts with listening, and when you're on the inside listening to not just nurses and doctors, but cleaning staff, cooks, all the people involved in healthcare, they'll all tell you the same thing. They're stressed to the max. They don't feel like they get the respect from government that they deserve, and that they need help. And I think a lot of that help comes exactly from management. And
in what form, though?
So we do a lot of things wrong, Peter, and I'll give you an example. Methadone program. I've got people in my district who leave Clarenville and go to Bonavista for methadone, and people from Bonavista who leave Bonavista and come to Clarenville for methadone. It doesn't make any sense. It's managed entirely improperly. I know of cancer patients that live in St. John's who've foregone because they can't afford to go. Now you think about that when there's free busing and programs in the metro area that aren't available in the rest of the island. We need to put a different scope on everything we do, not just healthcare. So the biggest problem this province faces is population and geography. And if we put a lens on rural Newfoundland that makes it different than how we do urban, I think it's the start of a solution. That doesn't mean it solves everything, but if you are an individual who has greater means and you can do something that can relieve a strain, then those people should be given that opportunity. But the people who don't have the means to do it should also be treated equally and fairly and have an opportunity to see a doctor in a timely manner. And it's just not happening. We have a huge fiscal problem in this province that nobody talks about. So my solution to generating revenue would be a community benefits program. I've been a big proponent of that. In 2019, I introduced legislation into the House of Assembly in October of 2019 that was passed 100%. It was for a community benefits program that would see Newfoundlanders and Labradorians go to work first. We've just completed, and this is astounding when you think about it, a hospital in Corner Brook, 2 healthcare facilities in central Newfoundland, long-term care facilities, and a mental health facility that we're building here in St. John's, with no assurance that Newfoundland and Labradorians were the ones that were working on those projects, with no apprenticeship program, no continuation of education for apprentices, and now we're talking about building windmills, and we won't have the people to do it because the province hasn't put their own people first. And me, as Premier, would put Newfoundlanders and Labradorians first.
But isn't the problem right now that there's not enough people? If you look at, like, fish plants are having to bring in foreign workers because they can't hire anyone locally. That costs them a lot more money than if they could hire someone just down the street.
Yeah, so I would also argue to that point, our secondary processing has failed because of our the seasonal nature of the work. We should be doing secondary processing in pretty much everything we do, whether it's our aquaculture or the marijuana industry that we were looking at trying to get into. You think about it, we failed at that. There's not many people who failed selling marijuana, but this province has. We can do secondary processing here. It would lower the cost of living, and it would mean people would have to come here. And I'm not against, listen, I believe that this province needs to invest and very, very, very robustly recruit people to come live in this province full time. It needs to happen. I said a few moments ago, population is one of our biggest issues. We need to grow our population. And if the jobs are here and they're sustainable, then people will come here to live.
One of the debates that I hear internally within the PC party is around how close the provincial party should be to the federal Conservative Party. How would you say your views align with Pierre Poilievre, the federal leader, and the federal Conservative? What's one thing that you sort of agree with him, and what's one thing where your views might differ?
Yeah, so I would say that absolutely